Do you have a 7? Go fish. We should probably go out and pay for this place soon. It's gonna start raining out. I knew the rain was coming. Come on, Toby. Today I brought you up to Nimrod, Minnesota. We're going to be checking out a campground called Frames Landing. Back in the 1940s, this place was established by the Conservation Corps. Thought we'd check it out. There's supposed to be some sights of it. First, I got to pay for this place. $15 just like last weekend. And we do have receipts this time. A lot of people asked last week if these campgrounds are just all in the honor system, and they are. I've only been here for about 15 minutes, and the sheriff's deputy's driven through once, so they do keep an eye on these places. Oh, you are getting soaking wet. What are we even going to do this weekend, Toby? You hear the thunder out there? Toby's no dummy. He knows how to stay dry. The rain is finally letting up. I'm still drying out, and so is my camera. Unfortunately, I got a little bit of water between my lens, so now the picture is all fuzzy. I'll set it in front of the furnace for a little bit, see if that dries it out. If I had a bag of rice, I'd stick it in there. As soon as I'm done getting a cup of coffee, we're going to head out and go check out the Conservation Corps campsite. They've got a memorial there, and you can see some of the footings of the building, so I thought I'd share that with you. What do you think, Toby? Is this going to work? This campground is on the Crow Wing River. It's maintained by the Wadena County Parks Department, and I've been taking you to a few of these campgrounds on the Crow Wing River. The main reason why is a lot of the state forest roads and then the national forest roads, they're shut down right now. They're just too wet. They get rutted up too easily. May 1st, they'll open back up. We'll be able to get out and do some dispersed camping. But this campsite is probably a mile south of Nimrod, Minnesota. And I know what you're thinking, the town of Nimrod's kind of a funny name, but actually it goes back to biblical times. In the book of Genesis, Nimrod means skillful hunter. So it doesn't have anything to do with being, inept or foolish. Skillful hunter. And this is a pretty nice campground. This place is set up like a lot of the other campsites in Wadena County. Not a lot of designation between sites. It's almost has a group feel to it. They do have a couple of sites that are a little bit more private feeling. Right down there is where I'm parked. It's not with the rest of the group camp. Of course, there's not going to be anybody here this weekend. I think that we're looking at highs about the mid to upper 30s today, and then tomorrow we're going to be back around that freezing mark. Maybe even see some snow. Today's not too bad. It would be nice if the sun came out though. And this is where you'd land the rafts to get in the river. I should have brought a fishing pole with. I think the suckers are going to be running really soon. I started hearing a few frogs last night. Their Conservation Corps camp is just a little walk through the woods. Let's check that out. This park is 14 acres, so you don't have to worry about getting lost out here. And the monument's pretty easy to find. You just follow those blue marks on the trees. And there it is. I just love this history stuff. The Nimrod Civilian Conservation Corps Camp 3704, August 22nd, 1934 to October 25th, 1935. This is so cool. The Nimrod camp was built on land donated by Minnie Frame. It was established and occupied by August 22nd, 1934. Although details of the Nimrod camp are somewhat scarce, a typical camp housed about 200 men between the ages of 18 and 25. Administration and supervision of the camps was by U.S. Army personnel, with older local men being brought in to educate the younger men in different trades. A mess hall, barracks, combined day room and postal exchange, a clinic, motor pool, and activity rooms provided the young men with a home away from home. Minnesota alone had 148 camps with more than 77,000 enrollees. Projects in Minnesota revolved around building parks, park structures, brush removal, trail clearing, trail building and maintenance, clearing wooded lots of dead trees, and reforestation. In other states, they fought forest fires, built dikes and dams for flood control, and cleaned up after natural disasters. Unfortunately, the only thing that remains are remnant foundations. But the legacy of these young men, what they accomplished, still live with us today. Just be aware, if you decide to come here and check that place out, they really don't talk about it anywhere. It's not on the big board when you first get here and you pay the camping fee. I was taking a walk a couple of years back, and that's how I found it. Just kind of going on a little adventure through the woods. It's amazing the stuff you can find. A lot of people were asking, how's the arm coming along? And it's getting better every single day. And then every once in a while I do something silly like jumping off of a half wall and really making it hurt. But it's coming along. And for those that don't know, I had total shoulder replacement. It's been about 10 weeks now. And really what that is they just disconnect the tendons, pull the femur out, shave the top off, insert a new ball onto the end of the femur. They cement it down into the bone and then grind the shoulder blade side off, put a new metal shoulder blade with a synthetic socket on there, and then they use 3 bolts. They just screw right into the bone, tie the tendons back up. We're as good as new. I will say I was a little surprised at how much it set me back for like the first 2 weeks, but ever since then, it's been coming along. I can't believe that I got work already next week. Yuck. What's back there, buddy? Toby is starting to rain out here again. Hopefully it doesn't last too long. I'll put a little damper on our supper. I'll show you what I was thinking. Let's do something completely different. Let's make a steak right on the coals. And when I say right on the coals, that's exactly what I mean. We're going to be cooking this thing directly on the coals. I believe they call it caveman style. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and a whole lot of smoke. This should be good. Some of you suggested it. Thought, let's give it a try. We're going to salt both sides, but tonight we're not going to be adding any pepper till it's almost done. Because this is going to be sitting on top of the coals, I don't want to burn the pepper. One of the first and probably most important things to do is prepare this coal bed. I'm using 100% just all natural hardwood lump charcoal. We're making a nice flat bed for the steak to lay on. It's going to be right here. Now we just need to wait for those coals to turn white. I think in the dark, everything's going to look red. But as long as there's no black, that's kind of what I'm looking for. This has been resting and coming up to room temperature for the last 45 minutes. I think it's time to put it on. One last thing we will want to do is just blow some of the ash off this charcoal. I think that looks good. We'll go right here. Just remember, I have never done this before. So take everything you see here with a grain of salt, because I have no idea if this is going to work. It smells amazing. Let's see what it looks like. There's a nice crisp on the outside. Hopefully that fat is rendering down. I'm kind of surprised that it took quite a bit of the heat out of the coals. And don't worry about the charcoal. I don't think consuming a little bit of charcoal is going to hurt anything. We're looking for an internal temperature of about 135 degrees right now. We're sitting at about 95. A couple of minutes, we should be eating steak. It's looking like we got it up to temperature. I'm going to bring it inside, let it sit for about 5 minutes. The way it's hanging, that's usually a good sign. Nothing left to do now but try it. So here it is. Ribeye steak, cooked caveman style. I'd say that looks pretty good. Yeah, it doesn't get better than that. Toby, I got a good piece of fat for you here, buddy. You ready for that? Good job, buddy. Well, there should be a final result. I guess the question is, would I make it again? Honestly, if I had a grate, I'd probably just use that, but it's still good. This smoky flavor is absolutely awesome. But every once in a while, you get like a real burnt piece or maybe a piece of coal. Just tastes a little bit bitter. If I had a grill grate, that's the route I would go. You want some more, Toby? Well, I gotta get this camper cleaned up, and it's time for bed. Really is like having a 4-star hotel in the bed of your truck. Man, I love this camper. We'll see you in the morning. Well, I do have some good news for you. Do you remember last weekend when I went to start my truck? Check engine light came on. It was blowing smoke, idling really rough. I thought that maybe the turbo vanes had something to do with it. Like a year ago, vanes were sticking, and it's just at startup when it's supposed to open and close that it was noticing that it wasn't able to function properly. I threw the scan tool on it, found out that it was just a glow plug went bad. And it was less than $25. Simple install. The glow plugs are rated for like 100,000 miles, and the truck's got almost 200,000 on it. So I should probably just start preparing to replace the other 7. The bad news this morning, that lens, it's not going to work. I put it up against the furnace last night, all night long. It's completely dry. I still get a haze in it. Good news is it's just a cheap wide angle lens off of Amazon. It's not the DJI factory wide angle. I lost that one a long time ago. We're going to get outside. I do have a question for you. I've got an issue with my camper. I'm starting to develop a crack. Well, I started to develop a crack like a year ago in the phylon, and it's only getting worse. And I can't seem to figure out what's going on with it. Maybe you know. Let me show you. So here's where my problem is. And you can see that there's a crack in the phylon. It goes all the way through this case cover, and also down on the bottom here. The gaps in the door, they're not even close to lining up anymore. But I don't see anything inside that looks like it's rotting away. I can see a little bit of wood here and here, and it doesn't look like it's rotting away. It's all started before I took the generator out, and I left the metal bracketry in here, kind of supporting this box. I was hoping that getting that 100-pound generator out of here would have helped, but it doesn't seem to have helped. This wood going across the bottom is still in good shape. I just don't see any reason why this should be separating like it is. maybe someone has been inside the rear corner of their camper and you can just enlighten me with what's going on back there. It's a 21-year-old camper. It's made of wood. One thing I will say is I can put the jacks all the way down and it doesn't affect that crack. Same thing with putting the slide in and out. Doesn't affect the gap of the crack. I don't know. I was thinking maybe use some ratchet straps and some force and try and close that gap up a little bit. Build some type of gussets inside that storage box tied into the metal steps. Or maybe I just leave it. I don't know. It's old. Joints are getting loose. Just like me. Well, I think we just about got this video in the bag. I'm going to get home, get some rest. I'm still sleeping in the recliner at home. So when I come out in the camper, I get about 3 good hours, and that's it. We'll try and do this again next week. Until then, be kind, be honest. We'll see you down the road. Let's go home, Toby.